She opened her eyes to a ceiling she didn't recognize. The air was stale, heavy with the scent of metal and mold. A soft flickering buzz hummed above her, the only sign of life in the room. As her mind began to slowly resurface from darkness, panic came first. Then confusion. Then pain. A sharp, electric current of agony lanced through her lower back, spreading across her spine like wildfire. She gasped. Tried to move. Nothing happened. She blinked. Tried again. Still nothing. Her heart pounded against her ribs. She looked down as far as her neck would allow. Her arms lay at her sides, strapped tightly with thick leather belts. Her legs, she couldn't feel them. Not the cold, not the surface below her. Not even pain. No. This had to be a nightmare. She wanted to scream. But her throat was dry and weak, as if she hadn't used her voice in days. "Hello?" she croaked. "Someone, please?" No reply. The room was silent. The kind of silence that presses against your ears and makes your own heartbeat sound loud. Where was she? She looked around. Concrete walls, stained and cracked. A single, dangling bulb swayed slowly, casting shaky shadows that danced across the room like ghosts. There were no windows. No machines. No beeping. No signs of medical staff. She wasn't in a hospital. That realization sank deep, hitting her harder than the pain. Wherever she was, someone had put her here. Her name. What was her name? Her eyes fluttered shut as she tried to think past the pain. Emily. Emily Hart. 28 years old. She worked at a publishing company. Lived alone. No family close by. The last thing she remembered, there was a party. Her friend Mia's engagement. She'd had one drink, maybe two. Then, nothing. Wait. No. There was something. A scream. Not hers. Then darkness. Emily clenched her fists, or tried to. Her fingers barely twitched. Tears burned the corners of her eyes. Then, a sound. The screech of metal. A door opening somewhere behind her. Slow footsteps. Boots, by the sound of them. Heavy, echoing off the concrete. She held her breath. Her body couldn't move, but her senses sharpened. Whoever it was, they weren't rushing. No panic. Just, calm. Then the voice came. "Good," the man said. "You're awake." Chills exploded down Emily's spine. She knew that voice. Her eyes widened, trying to see him, but the light above blinded her. All she could make out was a tall figure. His hands were gloved. His movements slow, confident. "We were worried for a while," he continued. "But you're stronger than I thought." Who are you?" Emily whispered, though she already feared she knew the answer. "Why can't I move?" The man didn't answer right away. Instead, he pulled a stool close to the cot and sat beside her. "Do you know how long you've been here?" he asked. Emily shook her head. 10 days, he said softly. "There was an accident." "You fell." "Fell?" she echoed. "Down the stairs," he said. "Hard. Broke your back." Emily's breath hitched. "That's not possible." I don't remember that." "I'm not surprised," he said. "Your head hit the railing. You blacked out." Her voice cracked. Who brought me here?" He leaned in. She could feel his breath now, icy, clinical, close. "I did." Everything inside her screamed. She knew that voice. Knew the scent. The presence. It was him. Dr. Adrian Keller. Her ex-supervisor from the university lab, the one she had reported for misconduct a year ago. He had been fired. Disgraced. He'd sent her messages after that, creepy, obsessive. Then he vanished. And now, he was here. Her pulse raced. "Let me go," she pleaded. "You can't do this." "You're pregnant, Emily," he said, cutting her off. Calm. Almost proud. 8 weeks today. Her body went cold. "No," she breathed. No, that's not, I can't be." But he only stood, adjusting the 4 that snaked into her arm. "You'll be safe here," he said, walking away. "Until the birth." Then, without another word, he disappeared through the metal door, locking it behind him. Emily stared at the ceiling, eyes wide, tears streaking down her cheeks. Her body was broken. Her freedom stolen. And now, her future was being rewritten, by a madman. Hours passed. Or maybe days. Time stopped making sense in the darkness. The light bulb above her flickered constantly, giving her headaches. Food was pushed in through a small hatch once a day. Bland. Cold. Silent. But Emily's mind was racing. She refused to give up. If she couldn't walk, she'd crawl. If she couldn't crawl, she'd think. Strategize. Wait. There had to be a weakness. A chance. A slip-up. Each day, she pushed herself. She began to feel the faintest tingling in her fingertips. One day, she managed to wiggle her right pinky. Victory. She kept track of the days with scratches on the wall beside her bed. 7. 10. 13. And each day, the man returned. Adrian. Sometimes he talked. Sometimes he watched her, silently. Like an experiment. Like he was waiting. The worst part wasn't the physical pain. It was the emotional weight. The isolation. The betrayal. She remembered how he used to smile, friendly, charismatic. He'd mentored her. Helped her. Then tried to control her. And when she resisted, he took everything. She didn't know how he'd done it, how he got her here, how no one had found her. But she was certain of one thing. No one was coming. Not yet. And if no one was coming, she'd have to save herself. On day 15, something changed. The door opened earlier than usual. Adrian came in, carrying a laptop. He placed it on a table beside her bed. "You'll want to see this," he said. The screen lit up with a news broadcast. Emily Hart, 28, has been missing for over 2 weeks. Authorities are urging anyone with information to come forward. Her last known location was a private event in downtown Seattle. No leads yet. Emily stared at the screen, her heart aching. Her photo was plastered across the screen, smiling, alive, free. "She's gone," Adrian said softly, standing beside her. "No one's looking in the right place. They think you ran off. Stress. Burnout. You always did look tired." She clenched her jaw. "I didn't run," she said. He smiled. "I know." Then, just before he left, he said something that chilled her more than anything else so far. "You're stronger than most. But you'll need to be. The next few months will be difficult." And just like that, the door slammed shut. That night, Emily felt something shift deep inside her, not just physically, but emotionally. She wasn't just a prisoner anymore. She wasn't just scared. She was furious. This man had stolen her body, her life, and now he was trying to steal her mind. But he'd underestimated her. He always had. Her fingers were moving now. Slowly. Painfully. But they moved. She began to plan. How he entered the room. Where he kept his keys. The timing of his visits. The weight of the tray he brought food on. The sound of the lock. The smell on his coat. Every detail became part of her strategy. And her baby? She didn't know what to think. She hadn't wanted this. Not like this. But she was responsible now, for a life growing inside her. And that life gave her something she hadn't felt in weeks, a reason to fight. She whispered into the dark. I'll get us out of here. I promise. Emily's breath hitched as the door creaked open. Footsteps again, slower, softer this time. Not the heavy, deliberate ones she had grown used to. These were uncertain. Lighter. Hesitant. It wasn't Adrian. She strained her eyes toward the sound, her heart pounding. From the shadows emerged a girl, no older than 20. Pale. Nervous. Eyes darting. She wore a loose gray hoodie, sleeves pushed up over shaking wrists. They stared at each other in silence. Emily's voice came out in a dry whisper. Who are you? The girl took a step forward, glancing back over her shoulder. I don't have much time. He's in the south wing. I shouldn't be here. Emily blinked rapidly, trying to push away the blur from her eyes. Are you with him? The girl hesitated, then shook her head. No. I mean, not really. I clean. Cook sometimes. He says I'm not ready for anything else yet. Her voice cracked near the end. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Emily tried to sit up. Pain shot down her spine, locking her back into the mattress. I need help, she said. He's keeping me here against my will. He said I'm pregnant. I didn't choose this. The girl's eyes welled with tears. I know. I heard him talking. He does that. Says he's saving people. Fixing them. Emily's voice shook. What's your name? The girl paused. Sophia. Emily clung to that name like a lifeline. A name. A connection. Another human being. Sophia, please. I don't know how long I've been here. I don't know what he plans to do. But I need to get out. If you can just bring me a phone. Or call someone. Anyone. Sophia looked down at her hands, trembling. He took mine. I haven't talked to anyone in over 6 months. 6 months. Emily's mind reeled. You're trapped here too. Sophia nodded. Not like you. I can move around. But I can't leave. The house is wired. The gates are locked. Everything is watched. Then we find another way, Emily said. Together. Sophia looked at her, and something shifted in her expression, a flicker of hope. But it was quickly swallowed by fear. I have to go. If he sees me. Wait, Emily whispered. One thing. There's a screw. Loose one. On the frame. Sophia's eyes darted to the edge of the bed. She reached down quickly, unscrewing it with her fingers and pressing the tiny metal piece into Emily's palm. It was the first real weapon Emily had held in weeks. A screw. Small, but sharp. Sophia backed away. I'll come back. When I can. The door shut softly. Emily stared at the ceiling, her fingers curling around the screw. A new fire ignited in her chest. She wasn't alone anymore. That night, Emily didn't sleep. Her fingers moved slowly, painfully, testing the sharp edge of the screw. She began scratching it along the leather strap on her right wrist, working in tiny, almost imperceptible strokes. It would take days. Maybe weeks. But it was something. Every sound now had meaning. Every visit, every step Adrian took. She listened. Counted. Watched shadows under the door. There was a schedule to it. A routine. 3 meals. 1 walk. No cameras in the room, but likely outside. Adrian was smart, but arrogant. That was his weakness. He wanted control, but believed no one could outthink him. Emily planned while she scratched. Sophia came back on the 3rd night. Food, she said quietly, placing the tray near Emily's bed. And vitamins. For the baby. Emily gave her a weak smile. You don't believe him, do you? Sophia shrugged. I don't know what to believe anymore. He says things. Confusing things. Like, he thinks this baby is part of some plan. Like you're chosen. Emily's skin crawled. He's delusional. Sophia's voice dropped. I think he's done this before. That stopped Emily cold. What do you mean? There was another girl, Sophia whispered. Before me. She was here when I arrived. But one day she was just gone. He said she was sick. But I found her necklace under the floorboards. It had blood on it. Emily felt her stomach turn. She was inside a nightmare, one that had swallowed others before her. Days passed. The screw wore a thin groove in the leather. Sophia brought Emily warmer socks, a spoon with a sharper edge, and a thin strip of plastic from a broken bin lid. Emily's left hand was gaining more movement. Her right arm still lagged behind. Her legs, still numb. One morning, she managed to roll slightly onto her side. Victory. Painful, slow, but real. Sophia grew bolder. She started hiding notes in the napkins. Small things. Lock on kitchen window rusted. Gates run on a backup generator. He checks basement around 4 a.m. Each message gave Emily more puzzle pieces. And slowly, she began to build a map in her mind, of the house, the escape points, the risks. But then, it changed again. On day 22, Adrian entered without warning. No food. No routine. He looked different, more frantic. Sweating. Things are accelerating, he said. The baby's growing fast. That's good. Emily stared at him, trying not to show fear. He set a device next to her bed. A small, portable monitor. Ultrasound. She froze. You're going to see, he whispered. What we've created. No, Emily said, trying to shift away. Don't touch me. But he already had the gel. Cold. On her stomach. The image flickered to life on the screen. A shape. Moving. Real. Emily couldn't stop the tears this time. Her baby. Tiny. Fragile. Alive. Her heart ached with the complexity of the moment. Horror, love, fear, awe, all crashing into one overwhelming wave. Adrian leaned closer. You're stronger than I thought. So is the child. This changes everything. What are you talking about? She spat. But he didn't answer. Just turned the machine off and walked out. That night, Sophia returned. He's slipping, she whispered. He's panicking. I think someone found something. A report, maybe. He made a call. I heard him. Emily's eyes lit up. We have to act. Soon. Sophia nodded. Tomorrow night. I'll unlock the utility closet. There's a phone there. Hidden in the breaker box. I'll get you to it. Emily's hands shook. If we fail, he'll kill us. Sophia's voice hardened. Then we don't fail. The plan. Sophia would distract him during his basement checks. Emily would slide out of bed, pull herself across the floor to the utility room. She was still mostly paralyzed waist down, but her arms had strength now. Enough. They'd rehearsed it in whispers. Every step. Every second. Escape night. It was storming. Wind howled. Thunder cracked like gunfire. Perfect cover. Sophia came just after 3:30 a.m. He's in the south tunnel. You have 20 minutes. Emily nodded, adrenaline roaring in her ears. Sophia unlatched the bed straps, her fingers quick, practiced. Emily slid off the mattress, gasping at the effort. Her legs dragged uselessly behind her, but her arms worked like machines. She crawled. Inch by inch. Floor cold. Nails cracked. Palms burning. 10 feet. 15. 30. Finally, the utility door. She pushed it open. Darkness. She pulled herself to the breaker box, heart pounding. Opened it. There it was. A burner phone. Old, but alive. A miracle. She turned it on. 2 bars. She dialed 911. Voice shaking. Gave the address Sophia had memorized from an old water bill. The call connected. "This is Emily Hart," she breathed. "I've been kidnapped. I'm paralyzed. I'm trapped. Please." A crash. Footsteps. Adrian's voice. "What did you do?" The call was still live. Emily threw the phone behind the washing machine as Adrian burst in. He grabbed her by the arms. She screamed. Kicked with what little feeling she had. He raised a fist. But then. Sirens. Outside. Flashing lights. Voices. Barking dogs. Adrian froze. Sophia stood in the hallway, crying. "I told them. I told everything." He turned to her. Furious. Then, ran. Emily slumped, sobbing. Relief flooding her. The door burst open. Officers. Shouts. Lights. And finally, after 24 long days, Emily was free. The night air was sharp and electric as Emily was wheeled out of the house. Flashing red and blue lights painted streaks across her tear-stained face. The rain still poured down, soaking paramedics, officers, and the muddy gravel driveway. A medic leaned over her as they reached the ambulance. "You're safe now," he said gently, wrapping a blanket tighter around her shoulders. "You're okay." But Emily's eyes weren't on him. She was staring at the basement window. For just a moment, before the lights overwhelmed the view, she'd seen something move. Behind the glass. A pale figure, lying still on a cot. Covered in shadows. Someone else was in that house. She grabbed the medic's arm. "Wait. There's someone else. Downstairs. In the basement." His expression changed instantly. He turned and waved urgently at the officers. "Search the basement. Now." Emily tried to sit up, but her body still betrayed her. Numbness gripped her lower half. Her energy was waning. But her mind was sharp, too sharp. She needed answers. Back inside the house. Detective Lauren Myers had seen darkness in her career. 2 decades with the Missing Persons Division had made her familiar with the ways people vanished. But this house was something else. Rooms that looked perfectly normal, living room, kitchen, study, but all with a strange emptiness, like they were set pieces. Too clean. Too untouched. Like no one actually lived here. Down in the basement, the air was cold and musty. The walls were thick concrete. The light flickered with a sickly yellow hue. Behind a locked door, they found her. A woman. Mid-30s. Hair matted. Eyes closed. Breathing, shallow, but alive. The room was bare except for a cot, an 4-bag, and an old camera mounted on a tripod. They radioed upstairs. Found another one. Female. Unresponsive. Alive. 3 days later, the hospital. Emily stared at the ceiling in her hospital room, the same way she had in that cold, dark prison for weeks. But now the ceiling was white. Clean. Safe. Her legs were still weak, but feeling was returning. Sophia was gone, taken into protective custody. Emily was told she'd be questioned as a possible victim, not an accomplice. But for now, the girl was safe. That's what mattered. The baby was healthy. That mattered too. But the questions wouldn't stop. Who was the woman in the basement? Why had Adrian taken Emily? And what did he mean when he said, "This changes everything"? Detective Myers arrived that afternoon. She sat down at the foot of the bed, flipping open a leather notebook. "We've identified the woman you saw in the basement," she said. "Her name is Vanessa Cole. Went missing 9 months ago. Preschool teacher from Nevada." Emily's blood ran cold. "Is she okay?" "She's stable. Weak. Same pattern as yours. Partial paralysis. Drug traces in her system. Likely the same sedatives. She's not talking yet." Emily's voice was quiet. "He did it to her too." Myers nodded. "And we think to others. Sophia told us about a locked storage room on the property. We forced it open." Emily held her breath. Inside, Myers explained, they found evidence, jewelry, clothes, driver's licenses, even baby items. None of it matched Emily or Vanessa. And none of the women had been reported as returned. "How many?" Emily asked. Myers looked at her steadily. 4. Not counting you or Vanessa. Emily pressed her fingers into the blanket, her voice cracking. "They're dead, aren't they?" Myers didn't answer. Flashback, Adrian's journal, recovered by the police. Day 1, Emily Hart selected. High cognitive potential. Fertile. Physically fit. Emotional trauma makes her more likely to reset with conditioning. Day 12, movement returning faster than expected. Elevated hormone response. Fetal growth ahead of schedule. Coincidence? Or compatibility? Day 20, the ultrasound confirms it. The child is different. The plan must continue. Back in the hospital, Emily clutched her abdomen protectively. She didn't know what kind of twisted fantasy Adrian had believed in. Eugenics? Cult delusions? Control? She didn't care. She only knew one thing. She would never let that man touch her child. 2 weeks later. Adrian was still on the run. A national manhunt was underway. His face was plastered across news sites, TV broadcasts, and digital billboards. Former biotech researcher. Brilliant. Manipulative. Dangerous, they called him. And no one, not even law enforcement, could explain how he disappeared so completely. Cameras caught him fleeing through a side door of the property, heading into the woods. Then, nothing. Gone. Emily tried to live with it. She tried to focus on healing. On preparing for motherhood. On reclaiming her life. But then the letters started coming. No return address. Postmarked from different cities. The first one arrived with a single sentence. "The baby isn't just yours." Emily tore it up. The second one came a week later. You still don't understand what I gave you. And then a third. They'll come for you. Not to help, to take what's inside you. This time, she brought it to the police. Myers studied the handwriting. Matches Adrian's. But it's not just taunting. He wants something. He wants the baby, Emily said. Myers nodded grimly. 3 days after that, the lab. FBI agents uncovered a hidden lab registered under one of Adrian's shell companies. It was deep in rural Montana. Completely abandoned. But inside were vials of DNA samples. Records. Images. Including an ultrasound photo, labeled Subject EH, Week 9. Emily's name. On the back of the photo were 2 words, perfect match. Emily's world begins to shift. Emily started receiving visits from strangers. Men in suits. Women claiming to be researchers. One claimed to be a government agent. Another said they were from a genetics institute. All wanted one thing, access to her. Or to the baby. She refused them all. Even as the whispers grew louder. That Adrian had been experimenting with gene editing. That Emily might be carrying something, revolutionary. Or terrifying. A nightmare reawakens. One evening, Emily awoke to the sound of glass breaking downstairs. She called 911 instantly. Locked herself in the bedroom. Sat in the closet, holding a kitchen knife with shaking hands. Police found nothing. But her window was open. And on the windowsill sat a folded piece of paper. The child must be raised correctly. You aren't capable. She moved the next morning. Chapter opening. Emily's breath caught in her throat. The word twins echoed in her mind. Then the phrase that followed unleashed an even deeper shock, 2 different fathers. Her heart thundered as the doctor retreated quietly, glancing at her with a mix of curiosity and concern. The ultrasound monitor glowed in the dim room, showing 2 tiny hearts beating, side by side, yet unmistakably separate. No identical genetics. No shared inheritance. 2 distinct DNA strands growing within her. 1. Genetic revelation. The next hours passed in a daze. Emily was subjected to multiple scans, blood draws, more genetic tests. Her mind spun with questions. Why? How? What kind of experiment could produce twins with different fathers? The doctor, Dr. Blythe, explained what his preliminary analysis suggested. 1 twin carried a genetic sequence matching Adrian Keller's DNA, confirmed from his journal and crime scene. The other twin's DNA didn't match anyone in his file. It was either unknown or deliberately altered to be untraceable. Emily felt sick to her stomach. He engineered this, she whispered. He used me. Dr. Blythe frowned. That's what the data indicates. But we need time. A full genetic panel could take at least a week. A week. Days of not knowing what she would carry inside her womb. Days of living with a secret that could change everything. 2. PTSD and paranoia. Returning home wasn't possible. She had to maintain residency in the hospital until law enforcement and legal protections were firmly in place. But even then, no place would feel safe. Each night she lay in bed, terrified. Of shadows. Of strangers. Of scientists with hidden agendas. Her paranoia grew. She didn't trust anyone. Not the men in suits. Not Dr. Blythe. Not the nurse who asked about her sleeping patterns. Not even Mia, her best friend from before, who every morning hugged her and cried tears of relief. Mia's love helped, but it didn't quiet the voices racing in Emily's head. She hadn't slept. She barely ate. And her body told her the same. She was carrying something unnatural. 3. A warning in the dark. On the 7th night back in the hospital, the lights went out. Maintenance claimed it was a power surge in the wing. But Emily had a feeling, she often did, and when she looked out her window across the hospital courtyard, she couldn't shake the sense of movement. Something flicked through the shadows. Something small. Something deliberate. The next morning, she found it. A small USB drive, taped to the underside of her bedside table. No handwriting. No note. Just the drive. Mia and Emily told Detective Myers. The drive was carefully examined and cleared. Inside were files containing scanned pages from Adrian's notebooks. Video clips of Emily's kidnapping and imprisonment, footage she'd never seen. A document labeled Project Gemini with lines of code and medical diagrams. Project Gemini, the mythological twins. The plan. Myers frowned. This confirms what we suspected. Adrian wasn't acting alone. This is biotech-level precision. Emily stared at the screen. He had planned this. Both of them. 4. The team forms. A special task force was assembled. Dr. Blythe, Detective Myers, a geneticist named Dr. Naeem, an expert in reproductive genetics, and Emily. Together, they pieced together what they knew. Adrian kidnapped multiple women, for confirmed survivors, a handful of unknown victims. He impregnated them under sedatives, collecting samples, switching DNA, and apparently implanting embryos. At least one twin in Emily has Adrian's DNA. But the second father is unknown. Might not even exist anymore. Project Gemini, a scheme to create genetically distinct twins for sale, study, or advancement. Emily, weak but determined, listened quietly. She had to stay strong. For them. For the babies. 5. Flashback, Adrian's methods. In the files from the USB, Emily watched a clip. Security camera footage, grainy, but horrifying. A clean, controlled lab setting. Adrian wearing gloves. A woman, probably one of the victims. Lying on a surgical table. Her face blurred. An 4 drip. An ultrasound screen echoing in noise. He hovered over her. Almost perfect, he said quietly. One more insertion. Then flashed to Emily's kidnapping, the same man, the same cold clinical tone. Emily recoiled. She'd known it intellectually. But seeing it unfiltered, it was like reliving it. 6. Emotional fallout. The team gave Emily time to grieve, to process the layers of trauma. Imprisonment. Betrayal by Adrian. The realization she carried twins from different genetic sources. The knowledge there were other victims she might never know. Mia came daily. Sat at her bedside. Held her hand. Brought home-cooked food. Kept her grounded. And there were visitors, reporters, advocacy groups, sympathetic scientists. Emily tried to care, but it felt like the whole world orbited her belly. And she hated it. She wanted privacy. She wanted normal. Instead, she had headlines, Mother of Unusual Twins, Biotech Nightmare Unfolds. 7. Breakthrough, DNA Analysis. Finally, the full genetic report arrived. Twin A matches 99.8% to Adrian Keller. Twin B contains a unique engineered sequence. Not found in any known donor database. Contains resistant traits to multiple diseases. Likely synthetic or created. Emily stared at the printout. Twin A explained. But Twin B? This was never about control, Dr. Naeem said softly. This was about creation. What's to prevent someone from harvesting this? Selling it? Dr. Blythe's tone was grim. Nothing. Not yet. That night, Emily wept. Not for herself. Not for the babies. But for what this meant. She felt hollow. 8. A strange visitor. The next afternoon, Mia drove Emily to a rehab center, just for fresh air. They walked slowly in the garden. Flowers, sunshine, birds chirping. Mia tried to talk about weddings. Sunshine. Hopes. Emily cut her off. It's not possible. Not normal. How can I bring these babies into this world? That's when a woman approached. Mid-40s. Calm presence. Kind eyes. Wearing a badge, Federal Genetics Commission. She looked directly at Emily. Ms. Hart, she asked gently. Emily nodded, wary. I'm Dr. Serena Wu. We've been reviewing the Project Gemini files. We believe your babies, your twins, may hold genetic breakthroughs that could help children with congenital diseases. Emily stiffened. Meaning, she whispered. Meaning, someone might want to use your children. For research. For treatment. For profit. Emily's world stopped. Then I'll protect them, she said. By whatever means needed. 9. The legal fight begins. Back at the hospital, legal teams gathered. Restrictions were placed, no photographs. No samples given without court order. Protection protocols. Emily had to sign consent forms in triplicate. Lawyers spoke in circles about genetic personhood, biobanking rights, maternal custody, ethical consent. Her words echoed in her mind. This is my body. This is my future. This is my children. She demanded a voice. 10. The first revelation. Late that night, Emily couldn't sleep. She scrolled on her phone, looking up Project Gemini law, and stumbled on a hidden forum, GVNG leak. People talking about experimental twins, black market genetics, underground labs. One post caught her eye. We lost control. They escaped. She's one of ours. Don't call them twins, call them anomalies. 11. A reckoning in the mirror. Emily stared at herself in the mirror later. Her pregnant belly silhouetted under the bathroom light. She placed both hands on her bump, speechless. Inside, 2 lives, one rooted in violence, one engineered neonate. She didn't know them yet. She marveled. She hated. She loved them already. This will stop, she whispered. I promise. 12. Cliffhanger ahead. The next morning, Emily was scheduled for routine tests. Before entering the clinic, she got a text. We have to talk before this goes further. Meet me at the old community center at 3 p.m. alone, your friend. No signature. Her heart froze. Was it a threat? A prank? A real lifeline? She recognized the number as Sophia's burner phone, but Sophia had been taken into protective custody weeks ago. What did Sophia want? Could it be a trap? 1. The unexpected message. Emily stared at the text again. Meet me at the old community center at 3 p.m. alone. Your friend. The number flashed, a burner phone. Sophia's. But Sophia didn't have access to her phone. She was in protective custody. Emily knew law enforcement guarded her closely. Unless someone broke her out or someone stole the number. Her mind raced. Could this be a trap? Had Adrian hacked custody protocols to plant false hope? Or was it a sign Sophia had escaped and was secretly reaching out? Her pulse thumped, a mixture of fear and hope. 2. Building resolve. Emily dressed carefully, conservative clothing, subtle shades, no jewelry that might give away her identity. She booked her own medical transport with the detective's oversight. She waited in the lobby, phone by her side. Her heartbeat never stilled. At 2:48 p.m., the transport arrived. The hospital nurse hovered, offering to stay, but Emily declined. "I'll be back soon," she whispered. And maybe, forever changed. 3. Entering the community center. The old building stood silent in the late afternoon light. Peeling paint. Broken windows. A ghost of the past. Emily slid inside, the door creaking. Her past life, the one before, was gone. But fear and defiance thrummed through her. She called Detective Myers on speaker. "I'm here." "Stay alert," Myers whispered. "SWAT is on standby. Hidden cameras on all exits. If anything happens." Emily nodded, ending the call. She walked slowly through musty halls. Her steps echoed across the floor. She reached the old gym. A single flickering bulb overhead. Nothing else. 4. The first meeting. At exactly 3 p.m., a figure stepped out from the shadows. Sophia. Pale. Hair disheveled. Eyes brighter than before. Alive. Sophia rushed into Emily's arms, and Emily held her tight. Relief melted sweat into her hair. "You escaped?" Emily whispered. Sophia nodded. "I had to. He was coming for me." Her voice shook. "They tried to move me last night. I ran." 5. Sophia's story. They sat on old bleachers. Sophia's voice trembled. She was in a safe room at custody, but Adrian's people found her location through a security leak. 2 nights ago, when Emily woke to blacked-out lights, they struck her wing too. Sophia crawled through a hallway, past cameras, and out a service door. She traveled by night, relying on stolen cash and kindness from strangers, until they helped her reach this center. She had information, bad, shocking, unspeakable. Emily's heart pounded, both with fear and desperation. 6. The revelation: there is a child already born. Sophia opened a crumpled note. He, Adrian, forced another victim to deliver. A year ago. A girl. We never saw her. He kept her in development. He said she was special. He called her prototype. Emily gasped. Then Sophia showed a photo, a baby in a clean room, held by gloved hands. Innocent. Perfect. But not Emily's. She lives, Sophia whispered. He sold her to someone. Emily's tears stung with rage. 7. New allies. Detective Myers rushed in, flanked by 2 agents. Sophia, you're safe now, Myers said. Emily, this confirms it. We've launched operations to track down that baby buyer. Emily's voice shook. And my children? Myers looked at Sophia and back. Given who they might belong to, your twins, they may target them next. We'll need more protection. Sophia nodded. Not just your babies. Everyone he kidnapped. Emily realized, they had no idea how many. 8. Inside Adrian's network. Sophia described how Adrian recruited a network: rogue doctors, biotech financiers, corrupt security firms. They smuggled women from private gatherings. Administered sedatives. Extracted genetic materials. There were labs hidden inside repurposed shipping containers in rural warehouses. It wasn't chaotic, Sophia said. It was coordinated. Professional. 9. Emily decides to act. Emily trembled but resolved herself. I won't let him get away. I need to fight back. She turned to Myers. I want to testify. I want to expose every part of this. Myers nodded. We need you alive. For your babies. But we'll start planning your legal defense. We also need to identify and dismantle Adrian's buyers. Emily's stomach twisted. To monitor her wasn't enough. To fight was essential. 10. Preparing the sting. A plan formed. Sophia would help them decode Adrian's message patterns. Investigators would use Sophia's knowledge to track underground labs. Emily would record video testimony, encrypted, and be filmed revealing his methods. The Federal Genetic Commission would issue alerts to biotech firms and hospitals globally. It was dangerous. But Emily felt a greater sense of purpose. 11. A personal moment. That evening, Emily lay in her hospital bed. Mia sat beside her. Emily's hand rested on her belly. Mia's on hers. "I'm so scared," Emily whispered. "I feel like I carry two futures, one dark, one hopeful." Mia kissed her forehead. "They're going to save others. They're going to be heroes, your heroes. Don't let the fear choke your strength." Emily nodded, tears whispering hope into her heart. 12. Sting operation begins. Days passed. Undercover agents followed leads to remote labs. A front clinic in Idaho was raided. They recovered dozens of vials labeled Gemini, Batch E. Genetic printouts, embryos in preservation bags, chemicals designed to preserve viability. They found blackmail notes, shipping manifests, financial records. Clients, biotech companies in Asia and Europe were negotiating high bids. Emily watched the news. She saw agents removing boxes marked BIO Hall. She thought of her children. Someone was going to pay millions for them. 13. Personal threats. New texts arrived on Emily's burner phone. "Stop now, or your babies die." Her hands shook as she showed Mia and Detective Myers. Myers said, "We traced the phone. It's coming from a secure IP address, likely someone in Adrian's remaining network." "They're testing you," Mia said. "To see if they can scare you off." Emily stared at the message. Her resolve hardened like steel. They won't win. 14. Breach at the hospital. One night, alarms blared on Emily's floor. Power flickered. Security cameras looped. Panicked nurses reported a locked door smashed. A masked figure had been inside her room, but fled when guards responded. They found footprints, mud tracked from shoes. On her nightstand, a face mask left behind. Gloved. But it differed from hospital issue, they were lab-style masks. Non-medical. Emily lay awake, heart pounding. They'd found her, despite bulletproof windows, staff, cameras. 15. The confrontation and resolve. Mia refused to leave Emily's side at night. They sat together as the first light crept in. "They know you're vulnerable," Mia said softly. Emily looked at her friend. "I'm not vulnerable. I'm fighting." She paused, voice trembling. "If they kill me, expose me, threaten me, I'll keep fighting. For them." Mia hugged her tight. 16. A new witness. The hospital liaison brought someone in that afternoon, a tech consultant, Dr. Omar Faisal, an expert in cyber tracking. He showed them the trail, Adrian's remaining associates communicating through encrypted channels. They had to isolate nodes. Emily needed complete cyber silence. No personal emails. No social posts. No internet. Emily accepted. She would talk only to team. No friends. No visitors. Everything funneled through detectives and attorneys. 17. Video testimony. They set up a private studio. Emily, pale and exhausted, spoke softly but firmly into a camera. That voice, painful, tremulous, raw, echoed with authority. She described the darkness of the basement. The sight of Vanessa Cole's cot. The ultrasound that revealed two babies, separate fathers. The knowledge that other women suffered. Her words were powerful, heart-shaking emotional truth, ending with, "I'm not a victim. I am their mother. We demand justice." 18. International partnerships. The FBI contacted Interpol. Europol joined. Biogenetics commissions in Asia and Europe issued alerts. Hospitals flagged suspicious pregnancies. They created a public portal, Operation Gemini Response, to allow missing women to come forward. Emily knew this was only the start. 19. The midnight phone call. That night, Emily's phone rang. Her personal phone, disconnected. No number. Emily. The voice was low. "A man. We're watching. We know who protects you." Emily froze. "What do you want?" she said steadily. A pause. Then, "Stay silent when I say. Don't push too fast. Or the prototypes suffer." He hung up. Heart pounding. Emily collapsed onto bed. 20. Cliffhanger ending. Morning came. Mia arrived to find Emily seated upright. Eyes steel. "I'm not scared anymore," she said. "We go public tomorrow." Mia's eyes widened. "Everything. Court. Cameras. I testify. The world needs to know." The care team burst into the room. "Ms. Hart, Detective Myers, someone is at the door. Armed." Emily swallowed. The door rattled. They pulled back the curtain, and it wasn't a cop. It was a small boy. Around 7 years old. Wild-eyed. Dirty clothes. He held a baby blanket, the same pattern she'd chosen for her twins. He stared at Emily. "Mommy?" 1. The boy in the hospital room. Emily's breath caught. The small boy, no older than 7, stood trembling at the door, clutching a tiny, worn baby blanket embroidered with soft pastel patterns she instantly recognized. It was the very one she had painstakingly chosen for her unborn twins. "Mommy," he whispered, eyes wide and hopeful. The room felt frozen in time. Nurses gasped, Mia stepped back, and Detective Myers snapped into action, moving protectively toward the boy. Emily's heart pounded fiercely in her chest. How had this child found his way here? Was he truly hers, or a cruel trick? She took a cautious step forward. "Who sent you here, sweetheart?" she asked gently, fighting tears. The boy blinked, looking confused. "I don't know," he said softly. I want to find my mommy." 2. The shocking connection. Detective Myers approached, speaking quietly into his radio. Specialists were already running scans on the boy's fingerprints, DNA samples, and cross-referencing missing children databases. Minutes felt like hours. Emily held the boy's tiny hand. His skin was soft, but there was a resilience in his gaze that echoed her own. The hospital security confirmed there were no records of this child entering through normal channels. Myers looked at Emily with a mix of awe and dread. "The DNA came back," he said. Emily's heart stopped. "The boy is genetically linked to you. He is your son." 3. Unraveling Adrian's darkest secret. The news hit Emily like a wave. Her twins. The ones she had carried under such impossible conditions, were not just the ones she was currently pregnant with. Adrian's twisted experiments and trafficking ran deeper than anyone had imagined. He had already taken one child, her son, born in secret, hidden from the world, raised by someone in his network, or worse, lost. Her son had somehow escaped or was sent as a message. Sophia's revelations, the hidden labs, the trafficking networks, they were all part of a monstrous plan to create children with special genetic traits, sold to the highest bidders worldwide. Emily's pain was raw, but her resolve hardened. 4. The son's story. The boy, who introduced himself as Liam, was too young to remember much, but he described a shadowy place filled with strangers in white coats and the cold hum of machines. He recalled brief glimpses of women crying, distant voices whispering about tests and samples, and the cold steel of cages. Myers gently reassured him. "You're safe now, Liam. You're with your family." 5. The final sting operation. Empowered by Liam's testimony and Sophia's insider knowledge, law enforcement intensified their efforts. They raided multiple hidden facilities. Each was worse than the last: cruel experiments, isolated children, frightened mothers. News agencies broadcast the horror worldwide. Adrian's empire began to crumble. Emily watched from her hospital bed as the world finally saw the truth behind the headlines. 6. The fight for custody and justice. Emily faced a grueling legal battle, not just to protect her twins growing inside her but to officially reclaim Liam and expose Adrian. Public sympathy surged. Support poured in from advocacy groups, survivors, and strangers moved by her courage. Yet threats persisted. Emily had to fight in courtrooms, media, and in her own mind against the overwhelming trauma. 7. Healing and hope. Months passed. Emily's twins were born safely with expert care. Liam slowly adjusted to a life free from fear, finally embraced by the mother he never knew he had. Sophia continued to heal, working with law enforcement to identify and rescue more victims. Emily dedicated herself to advocacy, speaking out about trafficking, genetic experimentation, and survival. 8. A lesson carved in pain and strength. Emily's journey taught her, and millions following her story, that even in the darkest moments, human resilience shines. The truth, no matter how painful, must be fought for relentlessly. Family is not only blood but the courage to protect and love, despite impossible odds. Her secret stunned millions, but it also sparked hope and action worldwide. 9. Final reflection. Sitting quietly one evening, Emily whispered to Liam and her twins sleeping nearby. "We survived because we never gave up. And together, we'll make sure no one else suffers like we did." Her eyes filled with tears, not of pain, but of hard-won hope. 10. Epilogue. The world moved on, but Emily's story became a beacon. Human trafficking and illegal genetic experiments faced harsher scrutiny. New laws were enacted. And Emily? She lived every day as a survivor, a mother, and a warrior, forever bound to the children who gave her strength beyond measure.